Well, now, it's been a while since I've done one of these. It's been about 2 days. I'm trying to make sure I stay on a fucking schedule with this shit because I don't want to fall off. I am feeling a little more confident on the mic though. I like cutting these things up and hearing myself speak because I'm crazy and yeah, a narcissist. But anyway, I had the day off from work. I was going through Prime, and there's this movie that I found that I have tried to watch. I think between 5 and 7 times now, and I it's probably gonna take 2 days. But if I commit to the bit, I think I'll be able to finish it. It might take me more than one sitting though. But yeah, there's a couple of things about this movie that I find very peculiar in both an entertaining and a bad way. Because this is like a very, very interesting story, and it's from what I understand, a very true story too. But the execution of everything about it from beginning to end is just I've seen. I don't think I've sat through it in one. I'm pretty sure I've seen the ending because I think I remember how it ends, but I'm not entirely sure. But it's like one of those ones where there's so many cool elements to this movie or like at least like the story where you're like, wow, how did they fuck this up so bad? And it's like, all right, so I'll just spill the beans right now. All right, the name of the film is called Rescue Dawn, and it's from 2007. It's got Christian Bale in it, who all intents and purposes, when used appropriately, Christian Bale's a pretty good actor. Heard he's an asshole in real life from several people, but that being said, that's his business, not mine. But he, was he's a pretty decent actor. I would consider him to be wide range actor. He's very method with a lot of the shit he does. So I don't know. I got no problems with him. But yeah, I feel like he's miscast in this, and I remember that it's like they try to have like this maverick personality, this alpha personality, because the film is, from what I remember, it's like a film about a fighter pilot that gets shot down during Vietnam, and I think he's like in the wrong country, so for one reason or another, there's like a very, very minuscule chance that he's gonna get rescued. And like I said, I don't give a shit about spoilers. Go fuck yourself with that. But yeah, I know that he tries to escape a couple of times, and he gets tortured a bit. But there's intermittent portions of the film where there should be like action or something, but it comes off like an indie flick because there isn't really much to like abridge that. There's just these like gaps of like, well, shit happens, and then it's like, okay, well, this is the result of it, but you don't really see it happen to a satisfying degree, if that makes sense with you guys. Like it's action that falls short, and like everything just is like slow or it's rushed, and it just doesn't like. It doesn't find like a comfortable clip to travel at. It's very jarring and then very slow. It's just like I remember not liking it. Actually, I do remember the last time I watched this too. The last time I watched this, I was in Atlantic City after Labor Day weekend a couple of years ago. I was pretty bummed out because Labor Day usually kicks my ass, and it's like sign of the end of the summer, which means I probably have squandered my time. I'm making a point of doing that this year, by the way. I'm using my days off to the fullest extent that I can. For example, yesterday I went and got a tattoo and played some poker. So yeah, I think I'm using my time quite wisely. And then today I'm just ignoring everybody and watching shitty movies with Christian Bale. Oh god, it's 2 fucking hours long too. God damn it. And it's a PG-13, motherfucker. Why'd I already commit to this? Alright, I did this to myself, but I'm gonna commit to it. What can you do? I'm gonna probably watch like 30 minutes and fucking bail out and call Seymour and have him come over here and do a podcast. But yeah, it's a like, trying to get out, do stuff during the summer. I guess I'm stuck doing this shit, so I'm instantly regretting it. But anyway, yeah, what can I ramble about? Okay, comparable movies to Rescue Dawn. So 2007, couple of years after, in my opinion, there's a pretty good era of high-end studio, either like movies or shows most of which were Steven Spielberg or Michael Bay, just churning out like these like Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan and like that, and then Michael Bay with Black Hawk Down. There was like a lot of movies that came out in that era that were just like early 2000s, late 90s. They were just very, very good. They were very well made. A lot of attention to detail paid. The well written, historically accurate. They did embellish a little bit, they did dramatize a little bit, but not to a detriment of the film. It was very, very, very clean, to say the least. Like it was like very clean and honest, and I like that about those. They're very polished films. Black Hawk Down, I would say, is probably the weaker of the three that I've mentioned, but that being said, it's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. I just know they kind of embellished like the real motives for being in Somalia, let alone like Mogadishu or whatever. I have a personal buddy of mine. He's a ex-army, I guess, army person. Yeah, army person. That was a fucking genius. Fucking running out of words this early into this shit. God damn. No, I guess he was in the army at one point. He's a veteran. That's the word I'm looking for. Veteran. And he said that he couldn't really, he didn't like the way that they portrayed what they were doing over there, let alone like how the whole operation was handled. It seemed a little more gung-ho than it actually was. Like, I don't know, he had his reservations about it. So for that's why it falls the furthest short on it, for just not paying attention to detail, I guess, to the maximum extent possible. But anyway, like, those films and those shows were really fucking good. And the reason they're so good is because of, like, they understood that there's a balance. There's an ebb and a flow of storytelling where, like, not every scene needs to be an action scene, but you do need an action scene. And sometimes you can use that action scene to mask exposition. Whereas this movie, from what I remember, it's like exposition is just like fucking bludgeoning you, and it's very literal because there is a lack of action or a lack of like visceral events going on. Like, I don't know, I know I've sat down to watch this movie like at least 5 times. I said 5 to 7, but like, yeah, and the last time I watched it I was just like taking a day, do the exact same thing I'm doing today, taking a day to myself, just stayed at the casino, got a little high in the parking garage, and then was hoping for something to watch. And I just remember being like, even high, I don't know what the fuck this movie, like, why was this shit made, and why is it made as poorly as it was? Like, goddamn. But yeah, that's that's part of it. Is like, the only reason I'm doing this too is because it's on Prime. It's not very hard to find it, and maybe someone else could commiserate with me about how bad this movie is. Because I said something earlier about it. I don't know if I elaborated on it enough though. Christian Bale is like an asshole, and he is like a he's a method actor. So I guess that does kind of give you carte blanche to do it. But if I haven't said it recently, I don't think I have. Like, this is why acting is like not. Like, I don't believe that actors need to be taken as seriously as they do. Like, you're just literally doing make-believe. Like, and people can do make-believe better than others, but I don't believe that we should kiss their asses to the extent of it, like, as it is. And from what I understand, Christian Bale's one of those dudes that just, like, gets away with it because he's like, who I am. Like, yeah, nobody gives a shit. Like, no, like, at least I wouldn't. I'm not, like, one of those people where I get starstruck over actors. I met Nicolas Cage the first day I was working on that Grand Isle movie, and I looked up, I just was like, hey, I recognize that guy's voice, and then looked at it, it was like, oh, shit, that's Nick Cage, and then went back to doing paperwork. Comedians, on the other hand, I spaz at, I completely clam up, and Seymour thinks it's fucking hilarious because I don't know how to use my words for a minute, and then, like, I'd be like, oh, that was such an exquisite experience. But yeah, I tend to, when put under the gun, I get a little choked up. But yeah, meeting Lewis was fucking hilarious to him. I don't know. I'll include a picture of it. I look like a weird penguin guy, and I was just like super self-conscious and all toasted and drunk. But yeah, I don't know where the fuck I was going. Oh, Christian Bale. Yeah, like, Christian Bale seems miscast for this movie. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't really have any angle. I was just trying to bide a little time, bash actors. Fucking fun shit. But yeah, if you feel like taking acting seriously, like it is a good time to try and get into it. They'll hire just about anybody right now as long as you're not a white dude. But yeah, like give it a shot. I'm telling you though, it's easy. I hear people talking about like, oh, is there you ever gonna get in the character? It's like no, it's not. They just read the shit and pretend like you're the person, and there's not much to it. Just be sociopathic about it. But like people are uptight, so that's what you get. You get uninhibited people with ludicrous ideas, fucking parading around Hollywood, and that's who everybody wants to look up to right now. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna watch this big piece of shit. It's called Rescue Dawn, and I'll see you on the other side. Never gets old a little bit. I don't know why that little ditty makes me so fucking happy, but also it probably makes me happy because it's the end of the movie, which is the best part of these last few I've been watching. God fucking damn it. All right. This one, the homework was a little bit more fun than the actual film. For whatever reason, I love Werner Herzog, but his dramatic films are just something the fuck else. He's too good at being a documentarian where I don't believe him as a dramatization filmmaker. Like, this isn't fiction. It's clearly nonfiction. Like but it's done as such good nonfiction that it's unfair to call it bland. I don't want to give the wrong impression of Rescue Dawn because upon rewatching it and I guess watching it in two big parts, I don't really. It's not really the same, as I remember it. It's a little bit higher end. I guess like drama. I guess is like it's like elevated drama, but it's like not. It's so dialed back that it's not like dramatic. It has dramatic parts. Yeah, let's crack this right open. First of all, Christian Bale is just not the actor for this role. I read up on Dieter Dengler is the dude's name. Yeah, Dieter Dengler. And I forget fucking Steve Zahn's name, but Steve Zahn's in this movie too, and he was cast perfectly. He actually took the role quite seriously. And I very commend him for that. Let me give Steve Zahn a fucking round of applause. I love Steve Zahn and other shit too. Steve Zahn's one of like the better actors for being like a B, if not C-list, guy. He gets roles where he's like perfect for it. Case in point, Strange Wilderness. He's great. National Security. Fucking one of my favorite comedies. Like he's really good at being funny, but this is one of the few things I remember him being in a serious role for, and he's good. He's actually really good. I mean, mind you, the role isn't exactly fucking rocket science. He's a POW. That's shell shocked, and then like right when you think you're about to get that nice safety and comfort, he gets fucking decapitated by a sickle. Which I'm not entirely sure if that's some kind of like Werner Herzog attempt at putting like some kind of political statement behind the Vietnam War, because it's like a sickle that's decapitating someone, which like a sickle's not what you're gonna like a field sickle, like the sickle and hammer, one of those Johns. It's not exactly the sturdiest of farming equipment. And, it's like, probably old Chinese pot metal that thing's made out of. Like, I mean, yeah, it could take down some fucking, plants. You keep the motherfucker sharp, it'll probably take out the weeds, but it's not gonna, flesh and bone, get the fuck out of here. You might be able to, like, possibly, with a couple of hacks, get a chicken, but, like, nah, come on, man. Like, I'm thinking, like, that's the least practical. They got, like, machetes and gherkins and, like, fucking kukris and shit. But for whatever reason, they chose the sickle, and I got kind of hung up on that. I'm like, is Werner Herzog trying to, like, do some kind is he trying to imply something here? Like, because you can make the obvious implication, like, Werner Herzog's he's a really good documentary filmmaker, and I know he's done, like, a couple of other features that are, like, dramatizations, like I said, like, whatever they are. There's one that he did in the 80s that was, like, apparently really groundbreaking, and I gotta look it up and figure out what the fuck it is, because like I said, I had so much fun doing my homework. I forgot to actually do my fucking homework. I ended up just looking up a bunch of other weird shit, like how many people staff an aircraft carrier, which surprisingly less than I thought. It's only 5,000. But yeah, we'll get to that. I think so going back to the example with the sickle, I think that's Werner Herzog's attempt at like creating some kind of like metaphor would be like, it's not really like metaphorical, like a American POW getting decapitated by a sickle as like some kind of like metaphor for like the Vietnam War, or like maybe even like the conflict, or like maybe just like the circumstances as like a broader thing. But he's a very deliberate filmmaker, so I'm sure it was done with some kind of intent. And like he does like such a good job with presenting very factual shit. Where this is a I guess this is a biographical thing of Mr. Dengler's POW experience. He like the story's fascinating. I'll give you that. Dude was shot down in I think he was shot down in Vietnam, but ended up getting taken to like Laos or Cambodia with Laotian VC soldiers, something to the effect of that. And he, survived for a couple of years. Ended up springing a few prisoners, planned a raid on the camp that was there because they were planning on killing him. All very cool things. He was, I forget, I just looked it up, what the medal, he was, Medal of Valor, I believe. But yeah, he got awards. He did his duty, and he apparently survived 4 plane crashes. That's how the film ends. They leave you on that one, where it's like, yeah, he shortly after this incident happened, he left the army to pursue a career as a civilian test pilot, and like after this, he survived 4 plane crashes, which is like, Jesus fucking Christ, Mr. Dengler, I get that you have a passion for it, but like I don't, why not give up after 2? It took you 3 more or 2 more after that, like. God fucking damn it, man. Like, either that is the unluckiest, but maybe piloting is not your thing. Like, try something else. But yeah, it's just me getting frustrated at the real guy. Yeah, I got frustrated at this movie for a plethora of other reasons. So, like I said, Werner Herzog, not the best drama guy when it comes to feature films. I would like to point out that I watched Lessons in Darkness, which was one of his films from like the mid 90s, I think, but it's about like these oil rig workers over in Iraq after the first invasion, where we're trying to get Saddam, and the Iraqi army was pulling back, and one of the ways to fuck with us was they started blowing up and incinerating the oil derricks out there, so it was just like basically burning oil from the ground, and blowing these like massive clouds of like noxious smoke and fucking fumes and shit all over the fucking countryside. So the U.S. troops had to like trudge through that shit, and then behind them there were these like engineers that figured out that you gotta like put it out with dynamite basically. So they're throwing like sticks of TNT into a fucking oil derrick. It's a very interesting movie. I highly recommend watching that, because if you want to see where Werner Herzog excels, I'll give myself that wasn't. I was trying to make that fun, but it made me laugh. Oh, mush mouth. It's been a long fucking day. But no, like where he excels is like his documentary filmmaking. And there's like somewhere he kind of like blends documentary filmmaking with like a little bit of like something else. He adds a little flavor and zest to certain things. Fata Morgana is the other one that I watched. Yeah, pretty good. It's a little strange, but it's like about like the African Sahara, I believe, the desert, and all the weird people and creatures and shit that live out there. But yeah, like it's like really good positive things. And then there's this film where let me kiss its ass a little bit. I'll tell you the 2 things that it got was it did not, like, there's no question, maybe some of like the film logic of it, but I can honestly say that I feel like I got a very transparent view of this guy's career as a pilot, albeit short, and his experience as a POW. I don't think there was very much bias in this, and I don't I very much commend him for that, because like it got very factual, but like whereas like Band of Brothers and Spielberg kind of do this thing where like they illustrate camaraderie and like brotherhood, where like people from differing backgrounds overcome adversity via the vehicle of war. And they find this like common bond and like this trust in each other, like through it. Like these are all like themes that you get from this. It's like very real, and like real to like a very like like not detriment. I just don't know. It just is like it's so real that you're like, this is not what I expected to be watching. But it is a fascinating story. So like I could save you the trouble, of watching it. But like I will, say like, hey, they did their homework. They got this factually correct. It seems like they just gave you as much info as they were working with as well. Save it like a very, very few minor embellishments, like which I think is just for the sake of filmmaking to make it like somewhat more interesting. But like, yeah, like it just is like it's very honest, and I cannot knock a film. In fact, I enjoy a film that like rather than them trying to like bullshit you just because it's more interesting, this was like the opposite direction, and it didn't really work. But you know what? I commended for at least trying. And in the capable hands of Werner Herzog, it brings me to my second point. He's a fucking beauty. I don't know who exactly was the both scenic and like the cinematographer on this, but like they found some beautiful scenery and wherever they ended up shooting this. And it felt very real. You did feel very immersed in the setting, even though the setting itself is like it's not as like torturous as you would seem. Like it is torturous. You're basically watching a bunch of grown men like lose their minds because they're stuck in this war and they have no recourse. They're not like actively being searched and rescued or like attempted to. They're just kind of like in the middle of a war, getting held for ransom by one side for a side that's really not willing to pay it on the other. And it's like I get that ambiguity. So like you get these like very like isolated moments, and it is very like yeah, I wouldn't say claustrophobic, but like because it is like I'm just saying all this to say that like it's shot very beautifully. Like all the scenery is like so well, but like you're confined to this like small camp. But like even that, it's like it's a little bit like scenic. It's a little exotic. I'm gonna have to shut that alarm off because I'm in the middle of doing something I'm going to have to censor if I say it. All right, let me stop that. Yeah, we got 9 more minutes left. Yeah, let's see where this keeps going. Yeah, I'm having fun talking about this one because, like I said, it's like it does have those two very good things going for it. So like if you want to look at a pretty film, like you just want to mute something and like kind of watch like a weird story in the background of this like very scenic, jungle, by all means, I implore you. It's not bad. In fact, it's good. It excels in that as well. So yeah, factual and pretty. So those are the two good things, and I think I've given it enough credence. And capable filmmaking too. Like I said, Werner Herzog is a very good filmmaker for what he does. He's known, like he's won a shitload of awards. Dude's really fucking craftful is a good way of putting it, or artful and crafty. I don't know, something like craftful is a word now. I coined it. But all right, whatever, roll with it. Yeah, so craftful. So like those three things are positive. Now let's get to the negatives. So, where Steve Zahn is good at acting in this film, Christian Bale is just not good. He, I don't know how much influence Werner Herzog or even like the casting director or whoever had over Christian Bale, but I kind of get this feeling that there's like a little bit of like Herzog wanting to like keep it dialed back, and Christian Bale just being like, but I need to act. Like Steve Zahn got the picture. Like he did exactly what he needed to do. He needed to like be like wide-eyed and shaky the whole time, very confused, very like traumatized, but durable. And that's like his character's fucking stellar and plays the part perfectly. Whereas like Christian Bale is like manic depressive. He's like falling in love for one scene and then it's completely thrown away. Where he has a crush on the one VC chick because he explains that like the broken glass is for shaving. He is just there during the great escape scene. He's shooting at men in the least like not like, and I understand you got to give it with a grain of salt. Like I'm sure like in real life it wasn't exactly like a fucking SWAT team. It was like probably the sloppy, very uncoordinated, but like just barely enough to get them out. Effort on the prisoner's parts. The scene just first off, they're not quick about anything. Everybody just does their own thing, which I'm sure was factual. But like when push comes to shove, it's like okay, I get that you're tired, I get that you're frustrated, I get that this didn't go correctly, but like when they do get the upper hand and they like spring the guy they called Jumbo, the little midget guy with the giggle, they spring everybody gets out of there, but then like they go to the rendezvous after yelling and just freaking out and stealing like meager supplies, while still freaking out, probably drawing a lot of attention to themselves, because it's not like, those guys, like, they shot one guard, but, like, for the most part, the rest of them ran away. They're probably going to go tell the VC, like, where they're at, where they're heading, keep an eye out for them, because they, like, these are dudes that have just been stuck here. They don't know where they are. Like, why are you going to start flipping the fuck? I don't know. It just made no sense to me. And I was kind of like, all right, he might have been like, Dieter might have been like actually in the moment, like panicking, or like maybe having this like internal monologue that like a voiceover might have accomplished. It could have gone unsaid, because you can kind of like, just from the situation and reading everything, there's like you can tell the tension's there, and it's like a high stress, like very frantic situation. But no, Christian Bale just kind of like announces how he feels, and like he does this at other points in the movie too. But like this was where it like came to a peak where you're like, come on, buddy, like you don't have to try that hard. You're doing a good job. Just like calm down. And like that's where I don't know who dropped the ball on that, because if they would have done just a take where it's like, hey, try it, but like with maybe like half the like scream a few times like out of frustration, but like just try another take. But instead it's just like this one where he's like acting, like, and just fucking going fucking ham like with it. Like yeah, we get it. You're pissed off, you're frustrated, but like it's not. I think in the situation, be conserving energy, maybe like not going so fucking berserk. And then he immediately turns over bullets, which he calls in a clip. It's a magazine. It's not the beach for me to die on today. But god damn it, learn the difference between a stripper clip and a fucking magazine if you're gonna do a war movie. And like Werner Herzog is fully capable. That's probably just like someone somewhere, like some script supervisor somewhere, like, oh yeah, banana. You can't say banana mag, so bullet clip. Like it's like no, what? Like he's the military guy. He knows better than that. He probably has a service revolver. He had a service revolver or like a pistol or something that had a magazine. Well, I guess revolvers have cylinders. I don't know what the fuck. One of these. There we go. That's about right. Yeah, it's a fucking service revolver's magazine. But yeah, like just that kind of like little things like that are what also take you out of the movie. So like when these like lulls. And like I said, I had no issues with this not being an action movie, and like the action shit is like appropriate where it's appropriate, but it's like it's not really a war movie. It's like it's not really a drama, and it's like really just kind of this like very linear factual account of this dude, and it's like it doesn't really pull you in. Like even the fucking score just like comes out of nowhere, and it's like very silent throughout like most of the movie, but then like as there's like the scene where they're in the river, they almost go over a fucking waterfall, like the score swells, and then he gets rescued and the score swells, and then like he gets all back on the aircraft carrier and the score swells, and it's like it kind of hits the points it needs to. I'm not knocking it for that, but it just doesn't, like, what you're hearing is like lower than it should be, and it doesn't really feel like, yeah, like it feels like half-hearted, and like kind of like not stock music, but as close as you can get to stock music without having to pay too much for an original score. Like it's one of those films where the subject matter is so fucking fascinating. This dude survives a plane crash and ends up in the woods, in a country he doesn't know, in a location he's not supposed to be in, fighting for a country that ultimately does not go out of their way too hard to get him at first, because he's on this like top secret mission, and like like he has like all this adversity against him, and then he overcomes all of it and still not only like manages to get rescued, but like for a very like a significant amount of time continues to keep like several other prisoners alive, and like keep their wits about them. Like that's fucking impressive. I work in a kitchen where like I can't motivate like 3 different fucking people to get off their cell phones long enough to help a customer. I have to go do it myself. And like this guy was like able to keep people like calm, cool, and like collected at like under that much duress. Like that's the real Dieter Dengler is a fucking G. But like, you know, that being said, this is a film is like it's 2 hours of watching several grown men like lose their minds and starve, and like like I said, I can't knock it for that. It just doesn't grip you in one direction or another or anything. It's just this very like presentable, like it's just like polished and presented on a plate, and that's really all there is to it. So like 4 out of 10. If you're interested in any of these things mildly, it's like an okay film. This is one of those ones where like I cannot sing enough praises about the director, but like one is not. It's like fucking. This is his The Happening. This is his fucking Herzog's fucking The Happening. So like yeah. If you want to watch that, actually, you know what? I got like 1 minute. I can talk about something for 1 minute. I'm gonna make sure. I might actually do it tonight too, because I'm gonna be uploading this shit. But nah, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just do this anyway. I'll just fucking do it right now, and we'll do that. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for listening. Listening.